Justice League actor Ray Fisher has once again spoken out about the abuse he suffered on the set of Justice League, and this newest statement may have taken it to a completely different level. Let's break it down. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Smash that like button and let's get right into this news now. Guys, this is a very difficult story to cover for a couple of different reasons. Number one, I do actually think this is a legal issue and is going to quickly become a legal issue, and we're going to look at the language used in the statement by Ray Fisher to explain why I think that. Number two, I have heard some things that are like ridiculous behind the scenes about what has happened to Ray and what is going on at Warner Brothers, and it's just I don't know how much of it I can even say because some of it's really hard to verify, but I'm going to explain all of that stuff at the end of the video. So let's first look at what Ray Fisher actually said, and here's the tweet right here. The tweet heard round the world. This is a very intense statement here. It says, during the LA reshoots for Justice League, Geoff Johns summoned me to his office to belittle and admonish my and my agent's attempt to take grievances up the proper chain of command. He then made a thinly veiled threat to my career. This behavior cannot continue. A is greater than E. He's saying accountability is greater than entertainment. Now, if you're watching this video, you probably already know about the other video we made about this, where Ray was first coming out with these statements talking about the crazy possible abuse that he faced from director Joss Whedon, okay? And he said that Joss Whedon had been enabled by Jon Berg and by Geoff Johns. And at that time, like, everybody was like, what is going on here? Like, how is, what is he trying to say? He's coming out to say something, but he's not exactly accusing people of what's going on. And so it was sort of a confusing move. If you look back at that statement, a lot of people have dug into it and believe that that statement had been passed through a lawyer. And this statement, I think, was also passed through a lawyer. And here's what the consensus is. The consensus is that Ray is technically accusing Geoff Johns of committing a literal crime in this tweet, which takes it to a whole nother level. And this post right here on Reddit by user Blagoo, it does a great job of explaining it. So here's what this guy says in his post. It says, so I felt like this deserves a separate post. Somebody on another forum pointed out that the latest tweet by Fisher actually accuses Johns of committing a crime. Fisher says he tried to take his grievances up the proper channels and for doing so got threatened by Johns. Well, this constitutes as workplace retaliation, which is illegal in the state of California. Fisher specifying that it happened in LA is no accident. John's actions also violate federal equal employment opportunity laws. Lastly, Fisher was able to post this because NDAs do not cover criminal behavior. So it is possible that this was passed through a lawyer, and that, again, the reason he's able to even talk about this, because he's NDA'd. He's not supposed to be able to talk about this kind of stuff, but NDAs do not protect you from crimes, from literal illegal activity. And so what he is insinuating here is that he's able to talk about this because it's an actual crime. Okay, so before we get into some of the speculation about what might be happening here and what this will mean for DC moving forward, because it is possibly earth-shattering, really crazy stuff, I just want to talk about briefly the sort of backlash to what Ray is doing. There have been many people out there defending Joss Whedon, defending Warner Brothers, defending Geoff Johns, and saying that Ray Fisher is taking advantage of different moments in society and sort of feeling himself and coming out hard to kind of go against what he views as just sort of corporate elites or power structures that are immoral at their face value. And I understand where people are coming from because he's not being very specific and we don't really know, right? And it's hard to know what to believe. And so look, I've seen the whole thing with him and Andy Signor and Jody's Corner, and I've seen that whole thing develop, and I understand where those guys are coming from, and I'm not going to get lost in the weeds on that whole situation. But what I will tell you is this: I have heard from multiple people that there was absolutely wrong being done in this situation, and some of the things that I've heard are wrong in ways that are like hard to even talk about. I've also been told that almost everybody in Hollywood knows exactly what I am sort of dancing around right here, and that everybody is not touching this thing because of how crazy it is and the possible impact on what it could do to the industry. And so all I can say to people is, like, if you are one of those people that thinks that Ray is completely in the wrong, that he's just fronting, that there was no actual wrongs committed, I mean, first of all, I think this statement in and of itself should get you to at least question that line of thinking, because why would he do this? Like, we just walked you through the legalese. This really does seem like it's going somewhere. And I'm reminded of the IG Live that Ray said, literally talking about how they will win, implying that there will be legal action taken. And it just looks like everything he has done has been through a legal lens, okay? So, and on the other side of that, I will just tell you that although I can't 100% verify some of the things that I have heard, some of them came from very reliable people. I do tend to believe that there was wrong being done on that set. But on the other side of this, and this is, I think, why this issue is ultimately so tricky. Look, this is a Hollywood thing. Hollywood is kind of a horrible town, and things like this are always done on movie sets. I am guaranteeing you, if we really wanted to take a fine comb and go through all of the different productions in Hollywood, we would find a ton of inappropriate behavior, a ton of problematic power structures being taken advantage of, a ton of horrible things happening, abuse, probably, abuse of power, 100%, and just a lot of whack stuff that goes on in Hollywood. And so I guess for some people, the question is what happened on the set of Justice League with Joss Whedon and with Geoff Johns, was it any more egregious than the normal Hollywood stuff that always goes down there? Now, I am not here to tell you that just because something is status quo, it is acceptable. I actually think it's a great thing that we might be able to clean up Hollywood and make these working environments much better for all kinds of different people. So I actually think that regardless of whether or not it was just your everyday Hollywood abuse and power structures at play, regardless, things need to change. And it's kind of cool that Ray is in the position where he can actually come out and hopefully make some of that change happen. So now let me just kind of speculate about what I think is happening and what is going on. And this is pure speculation. I can't verify this, but it is honestly how I feel things went and what I think is actually going on. I think that Geoff Johns was one of the most manipulative, power-hungry producers in the history of Hollywood. I think he came in and did all sorts of wrong. In this exact example, I 1000% believe that Geoff Johns brought Ray and his agent into a room and, like, I don't want to say he like Weinsteined them, because that implies like all the sexual horribleness and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's what happened, but I think in that sort of a direction of being that sort of like typical Hollywood, like, you ever want to work in this town again? You're going to line up. Oh, you tried to take this to the higher ups. They turned around and gave it to me because I'm Geoff Johns and I'm powerful. I 100% believe that that is what happened, and I 100% believe that Geoff Johns is actually a horrible, horrible dude that was abusive to Ray and many, many others in his time in Hollywood. Again, speculation. I don't know for sure, but that is the impression that I get. The flip side of that is that a lot of the people in Hollywood, including people on the journalist side, people that work for the trades, they are still afraid of Geoff Johns, of John Byrne, and of other higher up people within the Hollywood system that are protecting these people. And that is why a lot of people in Hollywood are not touching this story. I have reached out to a lot of friends in the Hollywood trades, and all of them have essentially told me the same thing, that this is a fluid situation, that I should be very careful about talking about this, and that they can't really confirm or deny anything that I am bringing to them, but all they can say is that they don't know all the sides and angles, but yes, they can admit that there are certain reasons as to why they are not covering it. Now, I'm not putting words in people's mouths. People got to protect their own bread. I totally get it. But this is a way crazier, stickier situation than I think many people realize. And there's another side of this, which I'm really hoping isn't true. And this has to do with Ray Fisher and another member of the Justice League cast, and something that happened between these two people that may or may not have been actually used and held over their head in almost like a blackmail sort of scenario. And so, look, honest to God, dude, people don't even want me to say that, you know? And again, I don't know if that's true. It's just stuff that I have heard. But I think that the way I feel about it is this is a lot of like icky Hollywood stuff, 100% icky Hollywood stuff. And I think Ray was absolutely a victim of this stuff. And I think he's absolutely taking this in a legal direction. And we're just going to have to wait and see how it all transpires. And I know that's cryptic, and I apologize. But all I can really say is that from where I am standing, if I had to choose how to report on this, which, I mean, I guess I just did, right? But my choice to report on this is that I stand with Ray. I 100% stand with Ray. I do think wrongs were committed. And I hope that they can solve these problems and they can figure this out. Now, what's the impact on DC? Man, that's a tough one. I mean, DC is in a weird spot right now with the Snyder Cut thing going on, with AT&T calling and firing almost 1,000 people in a couple of days. With the future of that company in question, a lot of things changing. I personally think it's in AT&T's best interest to distance themselves from Geoff Johns and to distance themselves from the Geoff Johns, John Bird regime. I personally think that's the way that they should go, and we'll just see. One of the things I loved about the AT&T coming in thing is that they were disruptors. They were disruptors of industry. They're not playing by Hollywood's rules. They're just trying to make money, which can be really refreshing. Well, it's just going to be kind of up to them to look at this evidence, to see what happens with Ray, and then decide from there. But I would actually not be surprised if within the next year, Geoff Johns is gone from DC. Gone and forgotten in a lot of ways from DC. But again, pure speculation. I cannot confirm that. I am not saying for sure that these things are true. This is merely the opinions that I have based on things that I have heard, which I cannot verify. I am just some dude on the internet. Please don't sue me into oblivion. And of course, let us know what you think about all of this in the comment section below. And now let's shout out Kevin Sims. Yes, indeed, it was Dan DiDio, the terror of the bullpen, that was let go as publisher of DC earlier this year. And now let's ask another nerd card question before we get out of here. I want to know, what was the original theatrical release date for Wonder Woman 1984? If you are enjoying the content on this channel, then you will absolutely love the streams we do live from Nerdvengers Tower Monday through Friday starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can join the Nerdvengers by becoming a member on that channel, where you will unlock discounts on our merchandise, behind the scenes content, and dope badges and emojis to use in the chat. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.